We have a Fox News alert pertaining to the major flooding that is coming down the Missouri, Oklahoma, Arkansas River. I don't know if it's called the Missouri River. I don't think it's I think that's a different river. But you need to just pay attention to this because this is historic, unprecedented conditions that we have never seen before pertaining to the atmospheric changes in regard to the major storms that we have gotten in the past 2 weeks. Whenever people tell you, I don't care who it is, that environmental changes is not real, you need to pay close attention to this particular footage because this is a signature series of just exactly how real that it is pertaining to seeing flooding that states, counties, and communities have never seen before. Just as Christ in his teachings taught that we would see signs in the heavens and signs upon the earth, just as we have never seen before. So please watch and observe, and please keep these people in prayer because just a farmer alone can lose $1 million worth of planted goods that will basically end his career for the rest of his life. And from what I'm seeing, it's not hundreds of thousands of acres, but millions of hundreds of thousands of acres that are being flooded right now, in addition to various communities that are being flooded. Please watch. This is extremely, extremely sad.
Right now, record flooding devastating communities in Arkansas. A levee breach along the Arkansas River this morning, prompting National Weather Service to issue a flash flood warning. Casey Stiegel is live in Conway with more. What are you seeing there, Casey?
Well, Sandra, that breach that you're talking about is about 40 miles or so to the northwest of us in the community of Dardendale. We understand it's mostly impacting farmland at this time, but levee breaches are also a major concern downstream, especially where we are in the community of Conway, Arkansas, and also neighboring Mayflower, where you can see right back here flood waters are already inundating these low-lying areas. This is water that is spilled out of the Arkansas River and all of the creeks and the waterways that feed it. You see the trees out there and the power lines. Normally, clearly, that is not underwater. But you want to talk about too close for comfort? If you follow me over this way, you can see just how close that water line is getting to that house there and property. So no doubt residents that we've talked to, the locals, all up and down through here tell us that they are watching this extremely closely. No doubt they're monitoring things in case it's time to evacuate. Sandbagging operations have been underway. And check this out. Nowhere do you really get the best perspective in terms of scale and impact of this historic flooding than by air. Look at this drone video. All of the water from Oklahoma and northern Arkansas from those storms over the last 2 weeks. It's making its way downstream towards Little Rock. At this point, all eyes are on the levees, in addition to the future forecasts as more roads go underwater and anxiety here rises.
It is difficult to comprehend. When you see it from the air, the breadth of the flooding, you realize the historic area that we are in terms of the Arkansas River. We've never seen this before. We've never had to deal with this before, so there are a lot of unknowns.
Now, government leaders so far estimate that about 500 homes statewide have been impacted by this flooding, and more could be expected if this water continues to rise. So we'll just continue to hope for some sunshine and blue skies to dry things out here, Sandra.
Long road ahead. Casey Stiegel on the ground in Conway, Arkansas. Thank you.
I personally felt he could have reached a decision.
In your view, he could have reached a conclusion.
Right, he could have reached a conclusion.
Well, I mean, he seemed to suggest yesterday that there was another venue for this, and that was Congress.
Well, I'm not sure what he was suggesting, but, you know, the Department of Justice doesn't use our powers of investigating crimes as an adjunct to Congress.
Is the Attorney General Bill Barr earlier today on CBS saying he believes Bob Mueller could have made a call or should a call on whether or not there was a crime, and did not. California Congressman Devin Nunes, ranking member of the House Intel Committee. Sir, good morning to you, and thank you for your time from your home district there in Cal.
You know, whenever us as Americans, for some strange reason, don't recognize that we have been
California
sabotaged in regard to our political stance, and all we want to do is bicker and argue and not get along.
The historic flooding.
Whenever you look at
Gale and
whenever you look at devastation that we're looking at right here from Mother Nature, it's obvious when looking at this that it holds a great deal of remorse, hardship, distress, agony, and pain upon to various landowners, farming communities, as well as communities. These things that we're looking at right here, right now, are obvious towards wreaking the unbearable behavior that Mother Nature can wreak upon to society. And it can come in the form of floods, famines, hurricanes, earthquakes, solar flares, plagues, diseases, and on and on and on. The point that I'm trying to make is this: we are also plagued by a nation that has been torn apart of political societies, refuses to compromise and get along. And in exchange to the damage that you're seeing right now, that is unprecedented, hasn't ever been seen before in these parts of the area, towards all this massive flooding because of all the severe storms that has fallen up onto this area in the past 2 weeks. It is similar of the damage that is being occurred right now throughout the land of the Republicans not getting along with the Democrats and the Democrats not getting along with the Republicans. You don't see it as predominant devastation as you're seeing right now as far as massive flooding, just like in a tornado or an earthquake. But in reality, the devastation is just as real, if not more so, pertaining to our democracy. And there's no doubt we are trying to adjust to a new revolution pertaining to the data, cyberspace, computer age society that has slipped upon to us in regards of dominating our lives, especially whenever it comes to bad players, regardless whether it's Russia, China, or other people in the world that want to influence our free, open, fair elections in a illegitimate way. But in reality, instead of us spending all this time and energy towards fighting against each other, you would think that we would have enough sense to pull together. I have said this before and I'll say it again. Even livestock animals, horses, cows, deer, whenever they sense a disturbance in their habitat, they will immediately pull together and even create a circle to where one another can watch one another's back. That way they got a stronger chance of survival, regardless whether it be a coyote, a wolf, a bear, or etc., etc. We're supposed to be influenced under those same genetic rules as the deer, the cows, and the horses. But for some strange reason, we have chosen not to be obedient to the ways of nature and disregard the normalcy of how God intended for us to react and respond to various calamities. And as far as I'm concerned, it is a calamity here in America pertaining to $21 trillion in debt. I think it was yesterday they arrested over 1,000 immigrants coming over the wall or coming over, breaching the southern border. 1,000 in one day. And they claim that if it stays on the level that it's on right now, they're looking at 800,000 to 1 million illegal refugees, if you want to call them refugees, or illegal immigrants that's trying to come into America illegally. In comparison to maybe 40,000, or at the very, very most 400,000 pertaining to the same type of trickery. It's basically an invasion. They're trying to invade America for whatever reasons. Some of them are probably legit, some of them are probably not legit. But for whatever reason, they're trying to do this abnormally, illegally. For whatever reason, the Democrats are trying to stir up more stuff abnormally, illegally, as far as I am concerned, especially in a time of crisis. Once more, I'm moving this in slow motion, and I'm doing this for a reason, is because I'm wanting you to be able to see the magnitude of the trillions and trillions of gallons of water that are being urged into a little river that is not designed to hold nothing like this. And that's the reason why they had a major breach in one of the levees this morning. It's possible that there will be more breaches in regard to seeing the devastation that is happening right now because of the flooding. And whenever you see this, it's an eye-opener. A total eye-opener. I think Little Rock, Arkansas, from where I'm at right now, is about 250 miles, if I'm not mistaken. Which is give or take about a 3.5, 4 hour drive. So all this stuff is heading to Little Rock. It's going to merge down on the Mississippi, which is probably going to cause that much more problems, even for the people down in Louisiana, down around New Orleans. That's going to have to deal with the same similar situations. And of course, we got the Corps of Engineers that are smart enough to identify sometimes you have to sacrifice a little to save a lot. That's going to have to make major decisions just in the next few days of various communities or various farmlands that they're going to have to flood versus various ones that they're going to try to save. These are unprecedented events. What you're looking at right there is a highway. That is a highway right there that is not supposed to be underwater. Okay, it's probably a levee. Probably the levee system broke because of the massive amount of water. We're also looking at breaches here in America pertaining to our democracy system that has basically have similar situations to it towards it being breached. I know that there's been a great deal of concern or talk about trying to impeach the President of the United States. First of all, the word impeach does not actually mean to fire. The word impeach is a procedure similar to Congress going to take on the initiative towards becoming a court system in regard to a tribunal. Now, just because if they do decide to go through this proceedings of impeaching the president does not mean that the president is going to lose his job. It just means that they're going to go through the proceedings. I personally think what's going on here is that we are being overwhelmed with all this knowledge. We're being overwhelmed with all these natural catastrophes. We're being overwhelmed by various bad actors that have displayed themselves openly on the internet pertaining to cyberspace. And we're basically chewing off more than we can swallow, if that makes any sense. And in regard to chewing off more than we can swallow, it is causing America to display its bad colors. This is not what our original ancestors had planned pertaining to the designers, the framers of this country. But I do believe that they was ingenious enough, clever enough, that as they was writing various laws pertaining to our Constitution and our Bill of Rights, that they could foresee that there was a possibility that things could actually implode from the inside out. And because of this imploding, it has created a man-made disaster that, as far as I am concerned, is more devastating than this natural catastrophe that you're looking at right here. Until we're smart enough to identify the trickery of the devil in what that he is out to do, which is to kill, steal, and destroy, and until we're smart enough to identify that we've been caught up in this atmosphere up in the White House and up on top of the hill, I'm pretty sure that just as the natural catastrophes are continually imploding up onto the planet, we're going to see more natural catastrophes just like this one implode, similar thereof of what's going on in the White House and throughout the Hill. It's frightening that we're not intelligent enough, but horses and cows and deer are. It's frightening to know that whenever we see these signs approaching, that we're not intelligent enough to put aside our differences and to pull together just as those cows or just as those horses and say, you know what, if we don't watch it, we're going to wind up losing it. If there's ever been a time that we needed to pray, not just for the people that's in the disaster path of catastrophe similar to this, but if there's ever been a time that we needed to pray for our leadership here in America, not just Donald Trump, but everywhere, I truly believe that it is today, as we are merging further and further into the future, and we're seeing more and more devastation on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month, year-to-year level. It's really sad that it has taken this long of people basically putting the government on autopilot or cruise control, and now all of a sudden, instead of it being on autopilot or cruise control, now everybody wants to take a hold of the helm. Everybody wants to steer the airplane. We have all of a sudden developed a whole lot more chiefs than we have Indians. And whenever you have people like this that makes announcements that this is something that we have never experienced or seen before on this magnitude, you have to scratch your head and say, you know what? Maybe there is something to all this. Please listen once more again as I'm ending this. Once more, we need to pray for these people and send any type of donations that Red Cross, including myself, I'm actually thinking about driving down there. It's give or take about a 4.5, 5 hour drive for me, driving down there and seeing if I can't help myself in possibly doing some sandbagging or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, this is going to be devastating for a whole lot of people. They're saying that right now only about 500 homes has been affected. That's just for right now. In another 2 days from now, it's liable to be 5,000 homes. I hope that it's not, but it could very well be. Please listen.
Difficult to comprehend. When you see it from the air, the breadth of the flooding, you realize the historic area that we are in terms of the Arkansas River. We've never seen this before. We've never had to deal with this before, so there are a lot of unknowns.
So I'm going to wait it out another couple days and see just exactly what's going on down there, because if it reaches a level of crisisness similar to Katrina or other major natural catastrophes that it has hit, I will probably volunteer my services towards going down there and helping a little bit. I can't do it all, no further than Little Rock is from here. I know a little bit about Little Rock. It's on its way to Dallas. It's about 2 hours north of Hot Springs, Arkansas. I've been down into that area. Little Rock has its own challenges that it has to deal with, just like any other state. But to see something like this unfold in front of your eyes on a slow motion level, it's devastating. It's devastating because you can see it coming, kind of like a freight train that's fixing to fall off the cliff or fixing to run into another train, a head-on collision, and there's absolutely nothing, I repeat, nothing that you can do other than stand idly by and watch this slow motion disaster appear right in front of your eyes. And it's similar to what we're looking at with the White House, with our political stance. we're watching this slow motion disaster unfold in front of our very eyes. And of all the times that we don't need to be bickering and arguing and we need to pull together in one alliance, it's today, it's now. But instead of us pulling together, we're still fighting amongst ourselves. We're still at one another's throat. Instead of us doing the right thing, like the horses, or the deer, or the cows, we're doing the very opposite.